Good Tuesday morning, and welcome to Ice Age TV, the internal combustion engine age conversations of cars and trucks and motorcycles and all these good things in general. Morning there for my YouTube subscribers that follow my channel. Thank you very much. And come on, pups. We're heading over to the barn. Like we run late this morning. A lot of things kind of going on. Wife's heading out to go to Tennessee. She's gonna beat me to getting there. And yeah, it's a big Tennessee trip, and I'm so bummed. I'm so bummed. Hey, come on, Scout. Look, he goes through the pipe. Watch this here. Not funny. Come on, Scout. Come on. Come on, Scout, this way. Hey, Scout, wrong way. Jesus Christ. Yeah, he just took off on you. They just love to play. Come on, Scouty. Here he comes. Scouty, come on. Oh, the influence of the little girl. That little girl influences these dogs so much. I mean, she controls these dogs like you can't believe. What's about the girl domination dogs influence others? The women influence others. Where'd he go? Just the never-ending... Come on, boys, go. Come on. No, I think he's going to do business. I think he's going to do. Yes, influence. I thought to myself this morning, why don't we have the Tuesday morning conversation about influence? Yeah. I've been influenced to go to Tennessee because I thought we were going to have beautiful weather. I was going to take the motorcycles down. And oh my gosh, I'm so wrong. So Thursday and Friday it's supposed to rain. Come on, Scout, let's go. Come on. It's supposed to rain. And Scout, Jesus Christ, I tell you. And it's supposed to rain. And so then Saturday, it's supposed to be like in the 30s. I don't know what I'm going to do. Come on, Scout. I'm a bummer. Here, come on, Scout, let's go. Come on. Come on, boys, go. Come on. Let's go. Come on. I'm come get you. Come on. Come on. I don't know, it's his problem this morning. He's got problems this morning, obviously. Yeah, so what trailer? I was going to take maybe the Bravo trailer right here. And come on, Scout. That was kind of my thoughts. But that ain't happening. Or is it? Or do I take the motorcycle trailer? But here's the dilemma. To do all that, I got to turn off my video. Man, one of those days. Fighting already. Fighting words already. Yeah. No lie. Yeah, the influence. The influence of other, what they do to us, good or bad. And more than ever in our life, I'm telling you what. If the influence isn't an all-time high for all the wrong reasons, I can't emphasize enough. It's just, wow. Borderline maddening sometimes. But yeah, all right, come on, dogs. Let's get up here in the office. Getting the wife off to Tennessee, got her packed up, taking care of problems, and now it's time to get to work and get up here and have our morning conversation together about what I think it'd be, or will it. And got my Crocs on this morning, the Cayman Crocs, that is, and they're noisy. The noisy boots. All right, let's get the heater on. And let's get the routine going. Now does my video not cooperate because of me turning it off? Probably. That's what happens all the time. Kind of cold up here. Not real cold, but when the heat doesn't run all night. So anyways, influence is the theme today. And I think to myself, we got to keep the car theme going. Can't break the car theme. And for me, that's my channel. It's a car theme channel, even though I get a little sidetracked, and I like to have other conversations as well, just to talk amongst ourselves, because more than ever, the media is influencing others more than ever in our lifetime. I feel like, because of all technology. I just see myself, all the technology we have today, compared to what I had when I was growing up, I think of myself when I was a kid, back in the 70s, growing up, kind of starting to figure out life a little bit. And I just think the resources that were at my hands to have influence upon me was very limited, very limited. And I think today, the influence of what the younger generation today has in front of them is overwhelming, and it's disturbing, and it's concerning. And now with the GPT, the pre-trained transformer, and now the Google's Alphabet is one to bring their artificial intelligence. Now with artificial intelligence, wow beyond wow, what's going on in our country. But to keep it on the influence side of the car conversation, let's do that first. I just think to myself, boy, oh boy, more than ever, I talk about this, a lot in my channel, and how the electric vehicle influence is through the roof. But what's interesting is a lot of people just aren't buying into it. So there's a lot of influence right now, people really being persuaded to go to the electric vehicle. But there's a lot of people that are really still like, well, I just don't see it yet. So there's a lot of influence on the media machine, the government bodies, the automotive manufacturing, and it just really is intriguing for me as an individual while I'm out and about and I talk to people. And what's interesting is I'm not getting like a majority of people I talk to of really just being like they have to have an electric vehicle. I'm not really sensing that. I mean, I'm just not getting that feeling. I wonder if other people that watch my channel, and just in general conversations, if the ones you talk to are just like, oh yeah, I gotta have an electric vehicle, that's gonna save the world and it's the best thing mankind could ever do. I'm just not kind of hearing that. I'm hearing more of the conversation, well, I hear it saves you money on buying gas. I mean, that's kind of what I hear. And boy, talk to China. Here's China. The balloon, the influence of China. I mean, what's going on with China? The influence of China? Wow. What is going on with that, right? The balloon. I mean, you just have to wonder. I guess where we are in today's society is it's so hard to believe. It's so blatant. It's hard to fathom. I think that's what goes on more than ever in today's society, because there is so much influence and so much information that so many people just feel like, nah, that just can't be. It's just too obvious. It just can't be. And that's a sincere problem, I think, more than ever in our information technology world, that there's so much information at the grasp of our hands, it's just too easy to see what's going on in so many ways. But at the same time, it's so easy to see what's going on that it's just hard to believe that it was a devious thing. If anybody doesn't believe that the Chinese are up to devious things, then you're just living in, you're just not living in modern times. But anyways, so back to the car theme, I think to myself, more than ever, the influence, and what's really interesting is the influence for the electric vehicle market is being driven by tax incentives and business infrastructure of governing subsidies. So think that through. Right now, a driving force of individuals that want to buy an electric vehicle, one influence of that is they get a tax credit. So it kind of gets them off the fence to buy the vehicle. So as an individual, you just think to yourself, wow, if it wasn't for the tax credit, would an individual still buy that electric vehicle? And that's a big thing going on right now, and how the government changed the guidelines of what qualifies for a big tax rebate and what doesn't. And they had to walk back, because apparently now a lot of vehicles that weren't going to qualify, like the Tesla and the Cadillac and the Mustang, the government backtracked and made them now so they can qualify again. I'm sure they had a hard sit-down conversation about reality to getting these cars moved. But here's the thing. It's the influence. Are you being influenced to buy an electric car because of the tax incentive? Is that really what's influencing you to buy it? And I know you can say, well, yeah, then I'm going to save myself on going to the gas station and blah, blah, blah. Then you go to the manufacturers. There's a lot of manufacturers that are applying to put major battery manufacturing in this country now, in semiconductor chip factories in this country now, because the government's I can't even say it, I'm just tongue-tied. So the government's going to subsidize them with tax incentives and other grants to allow these manufacturers to be attracted and influenced to bring manufacturing here. And so once again, you just think to yourself, well, if it wasn't that influence, then would the manufacturers be, banging on the doors to build all this new manufacturing here in the country? And that's a trick that's going on for years. Nothing new that states and countries have lured businesses to their state or country based on governing bodies giving them tax incentives to make it worthwhile for the government's enrich themselves in the end. Here's something I don't know if many people know this. I read this years ago. Bass Pro Shops. That guy was a genius. I don't know if you know the story of it. I'm sure some do. I'm sure some don't. But here's the story on influence. Bass Pro Shops, that founder, the way he grew that business by leaps and bounds is he went to the local state officials or county, whatever state he was trying to get his Bass Pro Shop business put up and built, and he presented a business model to them that if the state and county or whatever ordinance would pay to put the building up, to pay for the infrastructure for Bass Pro Shops, this is factual, that he would then elect to put his business model there because in the end, the return on the sales tax receipts and the employment and blah, blah, blah would eventually outpay the investment from the state in state ordinance county, wherever he put the business. Yes, that guy was a genius. That's how he grew his business by leaps and bounds. He didn't borrow money. He used the state's money to build his business, and then the states were rewarded from his business model of getting so much tax revenue to offset the cost of building his building and giving him that the business. Wow, isn't that something? I don't think that's going on as much now. I'm not sure on that, but that was a huge business model for him. I was just like, wow, it's just amazing. I'm just always intrigued to hear about individuals' success stories and how they got where they were and what they did. I mean, it's just, and what influenced them. And I'll never forget to this day, like 2000, an individual started plentyoffish.com. Here's a guy in Washington State that literally created his own dating website, like Match.com or whatever, websites. And I know I'm a little off track here on my conversations, but I just like to kind of share stories as well in my conversation. And so it was called plentyoffish.com. This guy started in his house with like one server, and he was very smart because what he did, he created the platform where people could register to be on his website, and then they entered all the critical information of themselves, and that was a huge different angle from, I guess, how when you joined other websites back late 90s and early 2000, you had to have people that were actually inputting the data for others. Well, he created it so the users themselves could input the data, so he didn't need many employees. Well, his business took off by leaps and bounds overnight. I mean, by leaps and bounds. He was making like $1 million, $2-3 million a year, like within a year or 2 years time frame, from all the advertising he got off his website and all the users of the website because he made it free. And wow. And so that guy, it was just like 3 to 5 years ago, it could have been longer, he finally sold out to like Match.com or some big conglomerate dating website, and he got like $500 million. Wow. I just even saw, just such a simple thought. And then here's another one for you. If you're into the automotive side and you've ever heard of fish tape, okay, well, fish tape is a line. Basically, when you do like car wraps, you run this tape in this literally like fishing line of stuff that's together, and you run it down the body of your car where you want to cut the vinyl, and then you pull this fish tape through the vinyl, and it gets in a perfectly cut clean, a perfect cut of the lines you're looking for. And the reason they call it fish tape is because this guy years ago took fishing line, and he would take just like clear tape that you use around your house, and he would put the fishing line down, and he'd put the clear tape over it, and then he'd do his wrap or whatever he's working on, and then he would take the fishing line and he would pull it, and it would rip a clean line. Well, that guy sold that idea to 3M for millions upon millions. I mean, gee whiz, I know. Wow, the influence, right? It's always about the. I think we're always influenced to how we can become better. Think that through. I think every one of us are always on the page. How do we become better? How do we become more successful? And what influences that? Who influences that? And that's why I'm talking this morning about influences. I think it's so important. I was just talking about when I was growing up on how what was the driving factors of what my bringing up of how I was influenced and how to look at this world that I live in. And for me, it was very simple. I had a family that was church people, so I went to church, and I had parents that were married, and my mother was at home for the most part, and I had a very hardworking father who was very fun. Talk about a guy just have a blast on. If you watch my videos of my dad, Popcorn, my daughter named, so my father's influence, my mother's influence, and then you kind of build that reach of those around you, your friends, how they influence you. You. As we know as parents, we're so always cognizant of telling your kids that, hey, don't hang out with that crowd or do this or do that because they're a bad influence on you. They're doing bad, devious things, and you're gonna eventually be like them. That's the whole point. We're all a product of our environment, and that's what I'm saying this morning is more than ever with the media machine, full blast, 24/7. How many different media outlets are there? How much information is being constantly fed through the internet? And now we have artificial intelligence, the cheap GPT, and now the Barb or something coming with Alphabet, Google. So it's just the influence and what's the driving factor for us when it comes to the automotive side. I've been saying here a lot lately, and how more than ever the constant electric vehicle influence is at an all-time high. It's just a constant, and all the manufacturers. But what's driving that? So you just have to sit back and go, what's driving the influence of all the automotive manufacturing, where it's beyond believable if that's the dominant conversation of electric vehicles? And you step back and think to yourself, but what influenced that? Well, I think you could say that the green agenda, the Al Gore-minded type of person that, is telling us how the world is changing around us due to the cars that we drive and our lifestyles we have. So more than ever, it seems like the green agenda's influence is at an all-time high. But yet, there's so many unknown variables from that influence of really what plays out in the end. But we're like in hyper speed more than ever of making, in my eyes, radical changes that will take years. It'll take years to come to closure if that influence was the correct influence and correct, the correct decisions and the correct movement of how we should do things for the better of the earth and better of mankind. And once again, who's influencing that? Well, the green agenda has made just incredible strides, which has impacted the governing bodies which have gotten on board to impose stiff penalties and shame you as a manufacturer, and the list goes on and on and on, for the green agenda advancement that's influencing the change of how we live our life more than ever. I mean, I have to say that since this sitting administration has come into power in this country, it seems to me that the hyperspeed green agenda and the whole movement of mankind having to live differently is at warp speed at this time. I mean, it just seems like all the conversation revolves around is the constant green agenda. I mean, there's article after article of so many misinformation of what the green agenda is doing. There's over in Scotland, there's talk of 70 windmills that are driven by diesel generators in the colder months, so the hydraulic lines or something doesn't freeze up and bust. They have to run diesel generators to keep the hydraulic lines moving or something, because it's more in depth than I know. But apparently Scotland has been called out on their so-called windmills aren't so eco-friendly to the ocean and the world. And one of the individuals over there is claiming they have like 15,000 windmills when they maybe have like 7,000 or something. So it's just total misinformation. What influences the misinformation? And we know it's usually a narrative to accomplish devious things. I mean, typically when people lie, it's because there's an underlying something else is going on deeper than what they're wanting to admit to. Yeah. So what influences people to lie? I mean, what's that all about? I mean, the political parties, they're constantly influencing their views and ideas upon the others that they really deep down know that really won't play out the way they are. I mean, just wow. So on the car side, I think to myself growing up, the influence on me, I had a father that was a General Motors guy. My dad was a total Cadillac, Pontiac, GM guy. He was not the Ford guy. I mean, really, I can't remember going to like a Ford dealer with my father growing up. And then my brother, he was a Chevy guy. So we kind of came out of the GM mold of the products. And I think, yeah, that's what usually you hear the stories of. When I'm at the car show, a few weekends ago, we did a video of a nice young man, had a nice, like, 4 Mustang or something. I can't remember what it was. But his family's Mustang. They're Ford people. Okay, so he's a Ford guy. And it's like me. When I was growing up, I was the Chevy truck guy. I was a little bit more of the multi-brand guy, even being young. I was the Toyota guy, the Datsun guy, the Mopar guy, the Ram guy. I mean, I just loved that. I was more of that than my brother and my dad, meaning that for me, I always wanted to have a Ram or Dodge, and which I did. My brother was more always about having a Chevy. My dad was always about having the Chevy, or I should say the GM product in general. And so my influence was, yeah, my first real truck, per se, it was my dad's Chevy truck, which he let me drive. But after we sold that truck, then I bought another Chevy truck. And then over the years, I just owned Chevy Corvettes and Chevy Tahoes and Chevy trucks. And I just had lots and lots of General Motors Pontiacs. So I had a lot of the GM brand, and it's because I grew up in the GM branded family. And what was that from? It was being influenced from my father and my brother and just the environment that where I came from. And I think to myself, boy, oh boy, in my day, there were just so many things I had access to without going to the public library to dig into even more information and influence. But I think today, wow, for a younger person, oh, here's the wife, so I'm going to take that. Oh, the interruptions. What influences all the interruptions? I just can't believe it. That, oh my gosh, the phones are ringing. I think you're right. This has been a kind of a more challenging morning. There's a lot of things going on behind the scenes. Like, geez, just anyways. So what's the influence of today's society more than ever of what's going on in our governing bodies, in our social platforms, in the school system? I mean, it just seems like more than ever. What is the narrative? I mean, really, what is the influence more so than ever for the younger generation today than when I was growing up? And is it for the better? I mean, don't get me wrong. I think there's just incredibly smart young kids these days. They just have so much information, and I think that's the thing I was saying earlier. Don't you want to be influenced to make yourself better and bigger and stronger and wealthier and smarter and a better person to mankind? Shouldn't that be more the narrative? But at the same time, it seems like more than ever, the influence of others to shame others is at an all-time high. I mean, just be unbelievable. That you just hear these stories of so many individuals because of how they look. You see videos of one color of race beating up another color of race, ganging up on people. I mean, it's just incredible of what's the influence. Who's influencing our younger generation that will eventually replace me and others to continue to carry the tradition of our country, which has been the freedom of speech and freedom of religion and the right to bear arms and blah, blah, blah. But it seems like more than ever, they're being influenced to take that away. Isn't it incredible that truly today the younger generation is being influenced by professors and educators and governing bodies and social platform to borderline be influenced not to have the right to bear arms, not the right to have freedom of religion, not to have the right for freedom of speech? Isn't that incredible? That we're witnessing in our times, especially if you're my age and others younger, that the younger generation is being influenced more than ever to change the foundation of this country more than ever. And I talk about it, the 1619 readings, the critical race theory. You hear, if you do your research on what that's teaching, the people, or I should say the younger generation, they should be shameful for what this country, where it came from the slavery of this country, which I was talking about yesterday, the reparations, I think are just going to be the separations. Isn't that kind of the goal? I mean, you just borderline, you have to say to yourself, the reparations are truly just going to create the separations. And it isn't just going to be about me being white and you being black. I sincerely believe the black community is going to have a very challenging time that X amount of people get to have all the money and the other X amount of people don't. I don't know how they're going to, I think this is getting pretty deep. I think whoever thinks this idea of paying out reparations is going to be, I just can't see it creating just havoc. I just can't see it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not the guy, and does it happen? When does it happen? Does it play out? I don't know. I mean, I'm just not going to. Anyway, so influence. What about the influence of Russia with China right now? Is Russia behind the scenes? I talked about yesterday and how I think that we're at war. We are at war with Russia. We're just using Zelensky's people and country to fight Russia. I mean, in so many ways, if you look at it, we are at war with Russia. And instead of Russia bombing our country and killing me and our citizens of this country, we're using them in Ukraine to obliterate their country and to let them kill the Ukrainian citizens. In so many ways, that's what we're doing, really, if you think about it. So part of me is like, these balloons, okay, is Russia asking for information and using China? Is China see on how we're supporting the Ukraine war to defeat Russia? And in some ways, the Chinese are saying, well, maybe we can get Russia to be our ploy, and we can use them to fight America, unbeknownst to us, that we're oblivious to the fact that we're all focused on China. No, China gives these surveillance balloons critical information to help Russia impose an attack on our country. But really, it's just China behind the scenes. Wow. Has anybody thought this through? I think that potential lies in front of us more than ever because Russia is getting harmed from our support of Ukraine. And in so many ways, I'm sure Russia's position is the Americas, the United States of America, is trying to win the war, and they're doing incredible harm to us, and they have to pay for that. I mean, I think this is deeper than anybody's even really talking about. So I think that in the end, China is going to use Russia to create a war against us, but it's really Chinese who end up helping them to do the damage to our country. Wow. Hello? Is anybody? I mean, wow. I mean, it's just influence. We're all influenced to do good and bad things, sadly. I mean, that's the sad part of how we operate as mankind. So many people are influenced to do such devious and bad things. It's just, oh my gosh. It really is. And it's artificial intelligence. It's just, I think, going to do just that. It's going to influence so much devious things that mankind's going to do to itself. Yeah, all right. Well, anyways, the conversation this morning wasn't as easy. A lot of distractions for me. A lot going on behind the scenes. Yeah, I'm really bummed because my goal was to go to Tennessee this week, which I'm still going to go. But the weather on like Saturday and Friday of last week showed nice weather for a day or so, and now that's totally kaput, gone. It's showing 70% chance of rain Thursday, like 50% chance of rain Friday, 30s on Saturday. So for me, to trailer down my motorcycles to Tennessee, I don't know if it's even worth it. So what I do is I'm going to do a big tow review with my truck, and yep, here's another guy that posted to me last night that he had the Power Boost and he raised his hand and he got rid of it. He traded it for an F-150 Tremor. I love it. I mean, I tell that guy it's awesome. And he said, hey, look, I was in the same dilemma you were in, and he drove his for thousands of miles, and 17 miles per gallon is what he averaged. Wow. So, I mean, actually, I'm doing pretty good if I'm at 19, 20. So he claims that he traded it for the F-150 Tremor, which I think that's a great thing. And I tell you what, that F-150 Tremor truck, I just love that truck. Badass truck. Would I trade my Platinum for the F-150 Tremor? I wouldn't, because I love the Platinum, and I love that extra. That truck is more powerful than F-150 Tremor truck, so it does have more power, more torque, and I just really do like the truck. Now, if I was doing a lot of back roading and I really was the off-road guy, then yeah, the F-150 Tremor truck could be a really good truck if you're not getting the Raptor. All right, everybody. Hey, just thought I would share some ideas and views and thoughts of the influence of where we are in today's society. And sadly, more than ever, people are being influenced for all the wrong reasons to do a lot of bad things. But at the same time, people are being influenced to do some really incredible things. And yeah, and I think that at the end, artificial intelligence, hopefully the influence of that creates incredible more knowledge for all of us. Hopefully it helps us cure the cancers of the world, the mental challenges we have with the world. I mean, just wow, that would be really phenomenal. And yeah, and I think that lies ahead. But at the same time, I've got a young daughter in this world that's being raised through the social, media and the influence of others. And it's just, boy, oh boy, the stories she tells me sometimes, you're just like, wow, just beyond believable. Well, I'm sure my grandparents said the same thing about me, and you as well. I I heard those conversations. You young kids are out of control. You're just going to go down the wrong, whatever. All right. Hey, everybody, thanks for watching my YouTube channel. Appreciate the support and nice comments. And what are you doing today? I don't know. It's borderline think I'm taking a Hellcat out. I'm going to do like a 200-mile day today, and I've been driving that F-150 Platinum truck every day to try to get it to 1,000 miles. I'm at 900 miles right now. I'm at the point now, it's good, whatever. And so I think I may drive the Hellcat Charger. So follow me along if I do that today. I haven't driven in ages. Let's see how it plays out. Thanks for watching. God bless. Stay safe.